After the unification of the Mongol tribes in 1206, the world remained unaware of what was taking shape on the vast Mongolian steppe. No great city trembled. No emperor sent warnings. To the outside world, the Mongols were still nothing more than distant nomads. But within Mongolia, something extraordinary was happening. Genghis Khan was no longer focused on survival or unity. His vision had expanded. He understood that power was not just about numbers, but about how those numbers were used. What he began to build was not simply an army, but a system of warfare unlike anything the world had ever known. The Mongol Army was born from the life its people had always lived. From childhood, Mongols rode horses, hunted for food, and endured extreme hardship. War was not something they trained for later in life. It was woven into their existence. By the time a Mongol became a warrior, speed, endurance, and precision were already second nature. Every Mongol soldier was a mounted warrior. Horses were not tools. They were lifelines. A single warrior often traveled with multiple horses, switching between them to maintain speed over long distances. This allowed Mongol forces to move faster than any enemy could imagine. They could cross vast territories in days, appearing where no army was expected to be. Genghis Khan enforced absolute discipline. His army was organized with mathematical precision. Every man knew his place, his duty, and the consequences of failure. Loyalty was not tied to family or tribe, but to the leader and the mission. A soldier who fled battle endangered everyone and paid with his life. A soldier who showed courage and intelligence, regardless of his background, was rewarded. This system shattered old traditions. Power was no longer inherited. It was earned. Former enemies rose to positions of command. Men once considered outcasts became generals. For the first time in Mongol history, unity was stronger than blood. The Mongols fought light and fast. They wore flexible armor and carried weapons designed for speed rather than brute force. Their most feared weapon was the composite bow. Small, powerful, and deadly accurate, it allowed Mongol archers to strike enemies from a distance while riding at full speed. Battles were often decided before the enemy could even engage. But the true strength of the Mongols was not just their weapons or their horses, it was their mind. Genghis Khan understood fear as a weapon. He used deception, surprise, and psychological warfare to break his enemies before combat began. Mongol forces would retreat deliberately, luring enemies into pursuit, only to surround and destroy them. Rumors of total destruction spread faster than the armies themselves. Cities that resisted were wiped out completely. Those that surrendered were spared. This policy was intentional. It sent a clear message across continents: resist and perish, submit and survive. Many cities chose surrender without a single arrow being fired. Unlike many rulers of his time, Genghis Khan valued intelligence. Scouts were sent far ahead to study terrain, weather, and enemy defenses. Spies gathered information through merchants and travelers. The Mongols learned languages, customs, and weaknesses long before they attacked. Every campaign was carefully planned. Nothing was left to chance. As the Mongol army perfected its methods, Genghis Khan turned his gaze outward. Beyond Mongolia lay wealthy lands filled with cities, armies, and rulers who had never faced an enemy like this. Northern China stood to the south, prosperous and divided. To the west, the Islamic world flourished with trade, knowledge, and power. None of them believed the Mongols were a serious threat. The first campaigns were small, deliberate, and calculated. Each victory strengthened the army. Each battle refined their tactics. Confidence grew. Experience hardened them. Soon, the borders of the Mongol world began to expand, and the distance between Mongolia and the great civilizations of the world began to shrink. Still, the world did not fully understand what was coming. Kings believed their walls would protect them. Empires trusted their armies. Cities believed their history made them untouchable. They were wrong. The army Genghis Khan had created was not just fast or disciplined. It was relentless. It adapted, learned, and struck without mercy. The storm that began on the Mongolian steppe was now moving outward. In the next episode, we will witness the moment when the world finally realized its mistake. The moment when the first great cities fell. Cities that had stood for centuries, reduced to silence and ash. This was no longer preparation. This was conquest.